Yo, welcome to the KaneSaid Sports Show, and I'm your host, Kane Bradfield. And y'all know my slogan, the fame is free, but the grind costs, baby. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of KaneSaid. I'm your host, Kane Bradfield. Y'all know my slogan, the fame is free, but the grind costs, baby. Yo, I got some special guests in the house today, man. I got some real life dogs in the house, man. We're gonna talk about this game of football, talk about this game of developing as an athlete, man. How you doing, man?
Good.
How you doing?
Good, man.
Man, let people know who you are, big dog. Start with you first, baby.
Jr Revere. I'm the owner, operator, founder of Next Level Quarterback Training, and currently partnered with the Clockwork EDU program, helping developing quarterbacks.
Yes, sir.
I'm Cedric Phillips, EDU D-line trainer at Clockwork Performance Training. I'm also the D-line coach at Hanlon High School in Roanoke, Alabama.
Yes, sir, man. Listen, man, first of all, again, thank y'all for even taking time out your day, man. We can get together and you know what I'm saying, talk football, man, talk life at the same time, but also talk about the importance of development of developing athletes, man. So man, let's kick this thing on off, man. So listen, man. So again, we're gonna talk background first. You know what I mean? I'm gonna start with you, Jason, to my right. You know, talk about your background of where you come from, how you do type deal.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of y'all that whoever's watching this out there that know me, you know I'm from LaGrange, Georgia. I was raised here, grew up here, played at LaGrange High School. My father coached there for 17 years, and was kind of there during what they call the heyday.
Yeah.
during the heyday.
Yeah.
So I got to experience and see some things, and of course, that's really where I got bit by the bug. I wanted to be a baller, wanted to be a ball player, and I had the luxury of being able to watch some of the state's all-time best, do it every day on a daily basis, and also get to watch my father help develop those guys.
Okay.
And so I got into it, went and had my own career there, and then went on and played at Georgia Southern, had my career there, which was really successful, and then spent some time playing professionally. Played a little arena football.
Yeah,
that's where we started.
Really most definitely. It's some heydays, baby.
Yeah,
arena football days, baby.
Every other year I was on another team in another part of the country. Spent some time in Canada playing there, and then and like I said, that's when real life really started setting in. It was time to. That's when my family started to grow, and I thought, all right, it's time to
figure something out.
It's time to figure some things out. So
I dig it, man. What about you, Coach?
Yeah, I grew up in a little small town in Roanoke, Alabama. I played football all my life and sports and basketball, and I ended up getting a scholarship to Troy University. Played up under good head coach of Larry Blakeney. During my time there, I had the opportunity to play with some great defensive linemen, DeMarcus Ware and O.C. Jr. Also had the opportunity to get coached by some great coaches, D-line coaches, Mike Pelton and Tracy Rocker. I ended up playing a little arena ball after college, and I ended up returning back to my hometown. I got involved with the school system, and unfortunately, I've been a part of 3 state championships, so that's been a blessing, be able to come back to my hometown and pour into my community.
Yeah.
And able to walk away with 3 state championships so far and pursuing more. So
I dig that, man. So listen, man, let's see, I'm gonna start with you on this one, big guy. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna talk about you know what I'm saying, the position of being a defensive lineman, right? You know what I mean? What gave you now, okay, so you played the position, but what made you want to teach the position?
When I was at Troy, I spent my first 2 years at tight end. Then I made the transition over to defensive end because of some offensive stuff, and they felt like I could play defense more if I transitioned over to defense. So I had an opportunity to play behind, actually, OC, during my transition. So I kind of fell in love with it, just learning from them guys. And when you play behind somebody who kind of taught you the ropes and you seen that guy go make it to the next level, it kind of weigh in on you.
Yeah.
And you get zoomed in on it, you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So I basically fell in love with the position, man. I wanted to try to make guys take what I've known, my knowledge, and try to turn defensive linemen to great, solid players, just on and off the field. So that's pretty much my stand on that.
Yeah. Same question you, Coach.
Well, mine is an interesting story. I was pretty ignorant when I was younger.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
Right.
I didn't, so
most of us ride that same boat. Yeah.
Ride that same boat, and I was at the front of it, and so I was blessed enough to get some great coaching in high school, which got led me to college, and I go there, get some more great coaching there, and I actually developed into a pretty good quarterback.
Okay.
At least most folks thought that was the case, and so after college, I remember my girlfriend at the time, lady I was dating who I'm now married to, people around her community who saw me play far back, remember me from college, but as far back as high school, didn't realize that I was dating someone who they knew her parents or knew her, and one thing leads to another. It's like, hey, would you train my son? He wants to be a quarterback, and my first answer to that was no.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, because I was in the midst of trying to get it. I was wanting somebody to train me.
Right.
I was trying to get it.
So you were like, no,
I'm looking for training. Somebody can train me. So I spent probably about 3, 4, 5 years. People, it was folks at my wife's family's church, and then people just around, hey, I remember watching you play. Could you teach my son or whatever? And it was just one after another. No, I look back on that and I think that was the dumbest thing I could. I mean, I should have taken. I won't say take advantage, but taking the opportunity.
The opportunity, yeah.
And but what happened was I got further along. I started coaching myself. I started my first real coaching job was at LaGrange College. And that's where I started coaching, and I realized coaching, and I was still playing at the time. Coaching really helped me become a better player, and I throw that out there. But I wasn't a really good coach. I didn't know how to teach kids what I knew. That was difficult for me, because a lot of the stuff that I knew was just by watching. It was just instinctive,
right?
And so I realized that, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to be good at it. I don't want to be some, dude out there that don't know, don't know how to talk it, don't know how to, connect with the kids. So I actually thought, well, practice. How will I practice outside of coaching? Well, training. Well, let me learn and let me, practice. And that's how I eventually got into it. I just wanted to become a better coach. And then when I realized that people this was something that people really were seeking, we were starting to get in the beginning stages at the age of training. I just happened to, I have something I can offer to the community.
I dig that. So let me ask y'all this, though. Yeah, when y'all can grab this alley-oop and dunk it, man. So listen, though. So from a training standpoint and a coaching standpoint, because you guys done did coaching and training, right? What's the big difference from being able to coach D-line at practice and being able to coach quarterbacks at practice and being able to do it from a training standpoint? Give me that. What's the big difference?
From my standpoint, coaching, man, it's like you don't have that quality time as a trainer to take a guy and kind of break things down and kind of build on it. As a coach, everything is just like preparation. It's fast paced. I can't sit there and spend all day teaching how to get in the stance. We got to have that figured out before we even get started. So that's why I think training is important. Like I said, coaching is just like it's just like fast paced. It's all about preparation. You have a chance, opportunity to just touch on stuff throughout the week, but it's all about just figuring out how you're gonna stop the other team. So it's a difference.
It's a difference there, and I see that, man. Because I always thought is that like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have done some coaching in my years too. You know what I mean? but listen though, man. But for my years of coaching, don't get me wrong, man. You are teaching stances. You are teaching different types of moves. But it's more about the X and O's.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Than bro, let me teach you how to, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
snatch, rip, you know what I mean, if you're a D-line or really teach you how to, you know what I'm saying, use your hips as a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's more about, yo, let me teach you how to get this play off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the way you guys come in so important is because, how you said, you got more time to teach. Right. So Jay, this question from you, Jay. You know what I'm saying? When you are teaching a quarterback, okay, what is the first thing that you want that quarterback to understand about being a quarterback?
Well, I tell youngsters all the time, if you're going to be a quarterback and be looked at legitimately as a quarterback, you have to be able to throw the football. It's almost like, in every sport, there's a thing that you have to be able to do in order to do that sport. And especially if you're going to play the position. Like, for instance, if you're going to play baseball, you got to hit.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
If you ain't got the hand-eye coordination, if you can't put the bat on the ball, your time is limited.
Right.
You're not going to play very much. Basketball, in this day and age, you got to be able to put that ball
In the basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from Mars. Like, you
Yeah.
got to,
Yeah.
you got to know how to shoot. Well, when you're playing quarterback, you got to be able to throw. And doing anything, particularly throwing, with all the different mechanisms that come and the dynamic movements that come with throwing the football, you have to get in a good stance. It all starts with stance to start. I remember a great coach saying, your first movement, your first steps will either set you up for success or failure. So how you look in your position and how you look, when I look at a kid for the first time, I just say, okay, here's a ball, just get into a throwing. Just show me how you look when you set up a throw. Just get in the stance. And how that kid gets in the stance to how they throw lets me know what kind of thrower they are. And so that's the first thing. I start with the stance to start. That starts it off, and then from there you explain to them, all right, here are all the movements. You put them all together, and then boom, you do it. You try to go at it full speed live. But just to kind of piggyback and go back to what Ced was saying, the biggest difference between coaching and training is time. You don't have time as a coach, not today. And it's funny going back. I think back. It's funny we were talking about before we got started. My dad. When he was back in the day, there was no time limit on practice, none. And you just you practice until you got it right. Now school gets out a little bit later these days. Kids are getting out at instead of 2:30, 3 o'clock, they're getting out at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it takes a little bit longer. So you're getting started later in your day. Kids still go to school. School is a little bit more strenuous than it was when we were in school. So kids got to get home, do homework, and it's all condensed. You don't have 3.5 hours to just practice or coach say, hey, we're just gonna be out here until we get it right. You can't do that anymore. So because everything's more condensed, you got to get ready to play. So everything's about prep. So now what gets sacrificed in a practice is fundamentals. That was the biggest thing before I got out of coaching that I noticed. As opposed to like when my father was coaching at LaGrange High in the 1980s, they would go fundamental periods. It would last almost 35, 45 minutes. That was the bulk of practice.
Right.
And then the other bulk of practice was team. Now that would go on for days. Like team would never end. So that was a big thing.
Yeah. So it's me saying this, man. I believe now, man, that sports itself have became so advanced right now. You know what I'm saying? We can't come with the same approach that we came with 15, 20 years ago now, because you got, like, I'm gonna use basketball for example, right? Man, you have some athletes, man, who are doing stuff at age 12, 13, whatever, that people in the NBA was doing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I think that come from skill development training.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Not so much play. Don't get me wrong, play is important. Yeah. But I think skill development had changed so much that that everybody is jumping on that bus. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So say, let me ask you this, man. So from a D-line perspective, he said the first thing he got to teach is, you know what I'm saying, stance, right? Yeah. Now for you, what are you trying to teach a D lineman when you're training them, not coaching them as far as at handling, but when you actually training them, what are you trying to do with that?
As a trainer, like Coach said, like stance and start. You got to be able to get down in a good stance as a defensive lineman. You got to be able to fire off the ball. Mm-hmm. All right. Footwork, steps off the ball, pad level, and developing that mentality as a defensive lineman, you in the trenches. All right. There's nothing soft about playing in the trenches. That's the first thing you gotta get in your head. You gotta be aggressive. You gotta be violent. Everything's got to be violent. Your movements, striking ability off the ball. So it's basically is the stepping stone. You know, the first step is trying to get the guys going to understand the mentality, good stance and start, and understand the violence that you got to have off playing the defensive line.
So now, man, if you watch, man, there are a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, recently, you just got back from a summit with DeMarcus Ware, all them guys at a D-line summit, and they were teaching all types of pass rush moves. Why is pass rush so important right now? Or is it a certain age, or is it important all across the board?
It's important because they pass the ball more. They got to have guys that get at the quarterback.
Yeah, the evolution of the game.
But it told me, he said,
I've
been a pass rush, get you paid millions, and been a run stopper, you know, win championships. So, but you know, that's always a golden rule.
Yeah.
Playing defensive line, you got to stop the run.
That's how to run. Right.
But like I say, man, them guys that the pass rush, them guys on a whole different level, man. And just being out there and just watching some of the stuff that they do, like hand stuff, man, it's like karate. Everything is so quick and active with the hands, you know. But yeah, it was.
Man, I can remember growing up, man, playing rec ball. For some reason, they used to teach us to come off. I don't know if y'all got something y'all young.
Flipper.
Yeah, a little flipper. Like, where did that come from, man? Like, why did people?
School.
Yeah, like
Old school,
we used to wear those little. You know what I mean? Well, not I didn't, but the people before used to wear those. But now I know why they wore them, because they were taught to do this. But you're saying now the game is hands.
Man, hands.
All hands.
It's funny though, when I was my last year in high school, my coach was telling me, like, one thing you better realize, when you go to college, you better learn how to use your hand and not use that flipper. Shoot your hand. So it's funny, when I first got to college, coming off as tight end, I messed around and threw my flipper up. The coach said, "You ain't know that handling no more."
Yeah,
that back to handle.
Yeah, but again, it's where we at though. So Jay, but it go both ways. Like, seriously, right now, man, teams are passing more. That's why guys like you are so important. You know what I mean? To teach that passing, man. I remember, man, one year when I was coaching in I was coaching at LaGrange College, man. I remember this kid, can't remember his kid's name, but big kid, man. He had to be about, I don't know, 6'5". He was like a tackle. Right. He came from a school that was predominantly running the ball. Right. He struggled with passing. So he didn't get to play, that first year because he couldn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm saying is, so let's say if you had a school who do, you know what I'm saying, a primary running.
Right.
Okay? So that quarterback is accustomed to, I mean, you play option at school, right?
Yeah.
So how would you combat that? So here's the deal though, right? You know what I mean? That coach want him to be the best option quarterback because it's great for their system.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So how can you combat that at the same time allow that coach be okay with Coach Revere, Trainer Revere, training his kid?
Well, first off is, you know, that's where the relationship between the trainer and the coach is important. Okay. That he understands what my model is. And my model is to over the totality of whoever I'm working with. And regardless of the skill level of that youngster, is to develop the entire quarterback. I want you to be able to do everything. So, you know, and I tell kids this, I said, listen, if you work with me, you'll be able to play in a two-tight bone. You'll be able to play in a pro-style offense. You'll be able to play, you know, if triple option, wing T, you know, if y'all decide to spread it out and, you know, go 4 wide and sling it all over the place, you know, spread RPO, you'll be able to do all that. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know. If you stick with me long enough, you'll get the whole gamut. One of the great things about, and it's funny, when you're in it, you don't realize it, but one of the great things about my experience, particularly in those formidable years in high school, you know, when I was at LaGrange, man, we did everything. I mean, we ran the I, we ran the wing T, we got in the gun and went 4 wide, and you know, it was really cutting edge stuff, which, you know, Dave, you know, that was Coach, that's how good of an offensive coordinator and forward thinking Coach Traylor was. He would think so far out of the box that that it forced me to develop so much of my skill set for that position. So I learned how to take a snap from under center. I learned how to take shotgun snaps. You know, I learned how to reverse out and mesh up with the running back. I learned how to do, I formation, ISO, or I formation, play action, ball handling. I also learned how to take, play action out of the gun. It was all this stuff so that when I went to college, even though I never really knew much about the triple option, I knew enough of football that I could adapt fast. Then when I went and played professionally, okay, you need me to throw a lot? Okay, fine. I learned how to do. So I've taken all of that and I've applied it to my company and my regiment. Of this is how I'm going to build you, so that no matter what you do, you ain't got to up and go, well, I'm not used to taking a snap from center, so I got to go transfer. They want to, and kids will do that.
Right.
It's crazy to me. Like, how about you just learn how to take a snap from center?
Yeah.
You should be able to do that. Or, all right, even though you might not throw the ball as much, you still have to throw. And I've always believed that most coaches are afraid to throw the football. Because if you talk, especially the most old school purists, there are three things that can go, that happen with throwing the football, and two of them are bad. That's what they're going to think, right?
Right.
And so I tell quarterbacks, you have to earn your coach's trust that, we can throw the football because this kid is proficient in it. Well, that's where I come and play and I help them out. So, it comes down to developing that relationship. Here's what I'm trying to build. This kid that I'm training, you'll be able to do whatever you need to with him because he's going to know how to throw it. He's going to know how to, run the option. He's going to know how to do everything. And when you have a kid that knows how to do a lot and is very developed, it accelerates your scheme. If a kid's limited, it limits your scheme.
It limits scheme.
Yeah.
Yo, what's crazy though, y'all? So let me tell you something. I've been in this field, man, going on in training, 13 years, right? And my message hasn't changed. Because, listen, and I remember years ago I had a conversation with a coach. Well, first with the player, it was like, my God, so long ago. And they were talking about he came to me to get extra help, right? It's my job to make kids, bigger, faster, stronger, right? Now, here's the deal, though. And the coach was like, well, you need extra work. You don't need extra work. I get all the work you need. And I was trying to explain, I said, but here's the deal, coach. I said, I like to parallel this to supplements. Like, for example, you know what I'm saying? The reason why people take supplements is because something is missing. Something in your nutrition is off. You're eating good, but you're trying to put on 10 pounds, right? You know what I mean? So you got to add some protein shake, some carb shake, what case might be. And also I said, I talk about being a teacher. Teacher do wonderful job teaching their students. Wonderful job teaching their student. For some reason, Johnny's still struggling a little bit. So, what did Johnny do?
Tutor.
He get a tutor.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're like tutors. You know what I mean? We're not trying to take away from what the coach is doing. We're supplementing, adding to the coaches. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, man, and I thank God, man, that the coaches around here now, understand that, so we're not here, to take over. Yeah. It's not the mentality. You know what I'm saying? The mentality is to supplement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To supplement, to find out, again, because we got the time. You know what I'm saying? To break an athlete down. You know what I mean? Shoot, Jay, you got time to really attack a hill. Attack a show. You know what I mean?
And that's all we're working on today.
Right. Yeah. Right. So you know what I mean? And so I think that's so important that we really get that message across, man. Like, for example, I'm tell you what I do here, man. So if a kid come to me and be like, Coach, I want to, increase my vertical. In terms of basketball players, right? The first thing I ask them, second thing, after our initial assessment is, what do y'all do at the weight room? Right? I need the kid to be in tune with what's going on at their high school or their middle school. So now once they tell me what they're doing, my job is to play off what they're doing. Right? You know what I mean? So on Monday, if they're heavy squatting, what I'm not gonna do? Heavy squat. It doesn't make sense. Right? So now, I pay more attention to the ligaments, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? To the power of the movement instead of the strength, because they get enough strength stuff over there. You see what I'm saying? And so, and I figured you guys probably doing the exact same thing, as what you program, if you guys want to tag team off that.
Yeah, well, so, it's funny that you said that in terms of being mindful of what the other school is doing. So right now we're in the midst of our in-season program. All right. So, we're doing in-season quarterback training here at EdU, EdU skill development. We're also doing it, within my company, for the other kids I work with in outside of this area, in other parts of the state and other country, that, we're doing in-season. So the purpose of in-season is, let me go back. There's a rhyme and there's a reason of everything that we do during different parts of the season. So you have your in-season, you got your off-season, you got your preseason.
Yes, sir.
So, your off-season, you attack things a certain way. Usually that's a heavier load. Why? Because you're not playing any games.
Yeah.
We're not in season, right? Preseason, we're trying to accelerate it because it's time. It's about go time. It's about time you get back with your team.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to accelerate a lot of reps. We're going to just basically review what we've been doing all off season.
Right.
In season, obviously the reps are way less.
Yeah.
The time spent is way less. Why? Because you're in season. You're with your team. I'm not going to sit here and have you throw 300 balls and you got to go practice.
And you might throw 40 in the game.
Yeah. Or you might throw 300 more in practice. Right. I don't know, but I'm not going to be the reason why you're wearing out. My job is to elevate you and get you prepared for your week or for your Monday practice or, for your week or your next week's game, and to help you maintain what you do throughout the season. And again, it goes back to, what we said before, it's time. What we're here for, myself, you said, is that, and it's pretty much it's the same conversation I had with every coach. It's that, coach, you don't have the time to do what I'm doing. Here's what a coach today would have to do. If you're going to do what I do, you would have to spend extra hours or extra time outside of practice to do what I do, which means that's more time from your family. Your wife's probably not going to be happy about that.
About that thing,
and here's the thing, you certainly ain't going to get paid for it. So, you won't have any incentive, and that's just being true.
Right.
Outside of yourself. So it's like, well, here's the thing, because now, the way that the game has evolved for you as a coach, where it's more scheme-based, time is shrunk. You got to choose between, all right, developing this kid, or getting ready for next week's game, or getting ready for spring practice, or getting ready. We gotta run plays. Offensive schemes have gotten more advanced. Because of that, defensive schemes have now gotten more advanced. So you can't sacrifice scheme. We got to spend time in team. We got to spend time in inside. So what suffers is fundamentals. Yeah. Okay, and that's the reason why I personally think, especially when you look at high school football early in the season, it's awful, it's bad,
Right.
Because they're out of shape, they're not very developed because you don't have time to spend on it, And so, our job, or what I try to tell these coaches, is that I'm just going to try to just,
speed up their process.
Yeah, speed up their process and supplement what you can't do. Go ahead and focus on scheme. Go to every clinic you think of, scheme yourself until your eyes bleed. I'm going to get this kid and I'm going to get him right developed, skill-wise, so that when he comes to you, he's pretty much a finished product. We can just plug and play.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
so
that. I like that.
But it's so hard to get them to
understand that. Yeah. So let me ask you this, man. You're about to get ready to start your in-season training. What does that entails of as far as an in-season D-line training?
Well, basically, let's think about it. Most football games on a Friday. All right, so if I do in-season training on Saturday, I got a kid coming in. I can't come in here and say, well, balls to the wall. We're gonna, we're gonna do a self-assessment.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the previous game and some techniques that we struggle with, or let's talk about the upcoming game. All right, just say you're going against a good tackle this week. All right, you've studied some film on him. Okay, let's talk about what's some stuff we can beat them with this week. Because I know doing practice, you ain't got a lot of time to just, sit down and just work on, okay, I think I can beat this guy with this move, or I ain't got much time to really work on it unless you spend some time after practice for a long time.
But then go back to what Coach saying. You miss the famo then.
Yeah, so that's basically my job for in-season. Let's kind of tune up on some things that we're struggling with as far as technique. You're just focus on your next opponent, even incorporating a little film if you got to.
One thing you spoke about the other day when we was in our meeting, man, you talk about, doing mobility stuff. Now, I thought that was doggone key too, because one thing that happened during the season, your body get beat up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And by having that, I think it was key that you're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's key that you're going to add the mobility stuff again to tune that body back up because you can go through them bumps and them bruises and those recovery days. So I thought pretty smart you did that. So Jay, I'm gonna say something, man. You spoke about something. You spoke about money. You know what I'm saying? Man, let's talk about the investment. You know what I'm saying? Why is it important for the parents to understand the investment behind their kids getting some individual or group skill development training?
Oh man, so I know. Okay, so it's a touchy subject.
Okay,
because you're talking about money. So, so you always gotta be careful.
Gotta be careful, right?
So I want to make it clear.
So on the marble flow.
That's right. So we're not telling anybody here how to invest their money, how you should spend your money, but mainly the principles behind it, the concepts. Which here's my perspective on it. Okay, so I've been able to be exposed, working with kids all over the country, all over the state. And I've learned that there are two different places.
Okay.
You have your more metropolitan areas, and then you have your more rural country areas. Okay. Right or wrong, why this is the case or not, and I have my philosophies, or my thoughts on it. But for whatever reason, the metropolitan areas in the bigger cities, the people that reside in those areas seem to have a better understanding about investing and what investing in training, what that is. And as opposed to the more rural areas. And the only thing that I can think of is that because in the rural areas, you're dealing more with poverty. You got more in terms of the ratio in the metropolitan areas. You have more a wider variety in terms of the socioeconomic background. You have more people with money. Now that doesn't mean that in the southern rural areas you don't, because I'm finding out that there are plenty of areas, folks in the country that are rolling in it. They're doing a good job of hiding it.
Right, they're hiding it well, baby.
So you think particularly 20, 30, 40 years ago, that was definitely evident. That money just wasn't, people just weren't rolling in it. And so, I look at, a lot of just right here in LaGrange. So there are a lot of, guys that I grew up with, man, that they didn't have nothing. Nothing. I mean, it was, maybe grandmama raising them, mama was just, and I mean, they didn't have nothing in the bucket. But now, because of, either some good decisions or because they had a God-given talent, they were able to make a life for themselves. I'm looking at them now and I'm thinking, wow, where your parents were at this age, you're like light years ahead of where they are now. They got it. They have money to invest, but because of their upbringing, they have a mentality of, that's still that kid from, long ago that you didn't have anything. And I'm trying to hold on to it. And so it's really trying to get them to understand that, no, you got it now. How people who have a lot of money, they're really good at understanding of investing in something that's going to bring that money back to them. So what I've actually had conversations with parents, especially when, there's a situation where money becomes an issue, is I said, okay, I went on the NCAA website.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's still up there now that the NIL is such a big deal, but they actually had a breakdown of how much each scholarship for each sport was. Yeah, it was crazy. So I actually got it and posted it on my Twitter. I actually showed it. So of course football was the highest. And I think the number was, it was like $487,000 and whatever cents. So it's about close to about $500,000. So about 500,000, G's. Dollars. And I'm thinking, okay, so we're talking about room, board, housing.
Okay.
Books or whatever. All of that. Treatment, I guess, for a kid, 4 years, 5 years, that's going to round out for each person. It's going to round out for about $500,000. So maybe a little bit more. I sat down and I just started doing some numbers. So for how much I charge, I said, if I got a kid, he's in the 6th grade.
Okay.
12 years old.
Okay.
To the time that he becomes eligible to be recruited and go off to college. So let's say 17, 18. That's about a 5 or 6 year period. If that kid worked with me 4 times a month, consistently, for 5, 6 years, he was like maybe $2,000 short of that $500,000.
Yeah.
It came out to like maybe $2,000 or something like that. You still didn't hit how much it would be if that kid developed enough and got that scholarship. The thing was to get the parent to understand that's your return on investment is that scholarship. You ain't got to pay that, however much money it's going to cost to go to that university, which trust me, it's going to be more than $500,000,
Most definitely.
And so it was like when I explained that, if the light comes on that, now here's where you really start to dream build. So you take that investment, okay? Let's say he continues the skill development, he goes somewhere, and then all of a sudden he is the lottery. And the lottery is
next show.
It's the show.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think about just the little bit. Now, we weren't in the NFL, but we were getting paid.
We were getting paid,
well, I'm the quarterback.
And it felt good.
I know.
Yeah.
I was getting, so my parents' return on investment was phenomenal.
Right.
So that's the return on investment from you investing in the training and the knowledge that child's gaining. The return on investment is that college scholarship and possibly that next tier, which is, he signs a contract. I mean, that is your return on investment. But to get to understand the mentality, you got to change mentality. You have to have an understanding of that, okay, it's going to take time. It ain't a situation where, okay, I'm paying for a trainer and I'm expecting my change back. It's not a situation like that.
Right.
The investment, it takes time to grow. Like watering the plant. You got to plant the seed. It's going to take time for it to grow. That's,
So say, I want you to pick it back off that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you spoke about earlier, being in a small town, man. How do you get a small town to recognize and to understand the importance of what you do? Because look, now, and I'm not biased.
Yeah.
You do it well. You do the D-line stuff well. So how do you get that out and saying, ma'am, sir, I can benefit?
It's been a question I've been asking myself for a while. It's like Coach said, man. It's like they got to understand the investment. Some people get it. I'm not saying all people don't get it in a small town.
Right.
Because some people invest in their kids. It just give them to understand that mentality that Coach talked about is that investment. It's going to take a little extra time and a little more quality time to invest in the kid and kind of get that kid to the next level.
To the next level, yeah.
So and just that. And when it comes to money now, like, I'm going to be honest. People say what they want, like, they might complain about, I don't know, I might want to spend that money, but think about the money that you're spending on other things.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That you don't,
it's about the importance.
Yeah. Priorities.
Priorities. Right there. Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing to try to get people to understand in a small town.
And I'm going to tell you this, too, and I think, too, man, that a lot of times, man, parents see their kid, okay, as being good. Follow me now. Like on their particular team, they may be that standout athlete, right? You know what I'm saying? And man, okay, I'm gonna use Ryan Bliss. He spent countless hours in here, man. Just got drafted. You know, to play baseball and God-given talent. But man, you know what? He stayed doing the extra work.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of parents sometimes think that my son, my daughter is okay because they're the best on their team.
Or they might be the best. Like, as an athlete, when you go out to college, you ain't just competing against people that you see around your area. Like, oh, that kid is great.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal out here.
Yeah. It's regional, national. Yeah. You competing against that kid from Texas. Or, Tennessee or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So, right. I think and it's just a thought just occurred to me. And again, it's all about just understanding because, I refer back to, being in a, rural area. Usually in rural areas, you have to deal a little bit more with poverty. Yeah. If you're someone that grew up in a very, grew up poor and grew up in a poverty-stricken, poverty-stricken environment, it's a mind game. It plays a role in your psyche and how you think. And so, you had that mentality of, how I'm going to invest when I don't have anything. So it's like, that's why, a lot of my friends that, man, they're doing well and they're doing much better than their parents ever did. It's like, come on, man, you're fine. You got it. You're not that, you're not that 11-year-old boy, living, don't have anything. Yeah. Dollar to your name. So things have changed. But the biggest thing is now once you get past that, you have that other element, which y'all talking about, is the element of being able to see outside. You know, we have a bigger, broader perspective on the reality of, okay, you would like every parent. I don't think there's one parent that wouldn't want their child to have the opportunity to go play college football on some level. You know, to see their baby, name in lights on a billboard, name on the back of the jersey. I mean, that would be, and God, help them if they ever go to that next level.
Right.
You know, I tell every kid, if you ever got a chance to do that, go do it. You know, I mean, even if it's for a year, go do it. It's a great experience. And to be able to say that I was blessed to experience that for some years, it's awesome. But I think to get them to understand that, to get to that, here's what's got to happen. Okay, you got to get out of your little small world. You know, when I grew up in LaGrange, that was my world. It was the biggest thing going. You know, that was my world. But you find out. Luckily, I had people around me that showed me that, hey, there's something out here a little bit bigger. Yeah. So you got to get the parent to understand that once you get out, in order to compete in that bigger world, on that bigger stage, it's not just good enough that you're a raw talent. You have to refine the talent. Yeah. At some point, you're going to get to a level where everybody's talented. The guy who has the most refined skills is the one that's going to have the leg up. Yeah. And it's going to get even tougher every level that you go. So here's the thing. I remember you said something about Dwayne Wade saying something about his son learning and knowing stuff. Right. You know, okay, so I remember just one, and it just hit me. I'm working with a 12-year-old, and he's one of those kids that was just really advanced. You know, he's one of those kids that you know he's going to be playing for an ACC, SEC. He's going to be playing for a Power 5 school. Yeah. He just got it, and I'm working with him, so I'm accelerating his training. You know, I'm training him at a 12-year-old. I'm training him as a 15-year-old. He's in 6th grade, but I'm training him like a 9th grader. And I remember telling him something that I'll never forget. I didn't learn this technique until I was in my mid-20s. I was playing. I was playing football. I was in Canada, matter of fact. I was up in the CFL, and I just remember going. You know, this is when I had this epiphany at that age, and this kid is learning it at 12. And so he's gonna be a little bit more refined. Yeah. It's gonna make him a lot more competitive. And again, that's what we got to get the parents to understand. That's what you're investing in. You know, that's the part that. And again, if you invest right and strategically, you know, you're going to get that return on investment. And you're going to be pleased with the results. That's where I would leave it with. So
I like that. So say, you know what I mean, in terms of age. You know what I'm saying? What's a good age in your opinion? You know what I mean? Well, you know what? No, honestly though, let me back that up. It really can't be age. Yeah. Because how Coach just said, you got a 12-year-old who operating like a 15-year-old. Yeah. You might have a 7-year-old who's operating like a 9-year-old. So really, it really, you know what I'm saying, based on the individual. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, that being said, you know, how do you progress your training?
I mean, from a
you know, so what are you teaching them? You know, I know you say you start with the stance and start, you know what I mean? But when do you start going into it to where you actually teaching a spin move, you know what I mean, or a snatch, you know what I mean, long arm?
Yeah, see, a lot of, like, even when it comes down to a lot of those passer movements, you don't want to start off too young with a kid with that kind of stuff because it gets more advanced. Like, I kind of get into that with high school because as just say a middle school kid, I start off with some of the basic moves, just kind of getting to understand the movement. And then once they get good with that movement, we're kind of advanced to other movement. Because it's all about understanding. Like, you got to it get a little more detail when it comes to pass rush, even with set recognition. You got to understand what the lineman is doing. You got to be able to react to that immediately. So you got to build your knowledge on that, how to react to it. And most kids don't get it. A lot of kids don't get it till they get
high school, even college. Yeah. But let me say something though. It's me. I think, again, I'm thinking on the whole crazy level right now. I think if a kid's in elementary, listen to me now, playing rec ball, middle school, if he, learn how to use his hand at an elementary age, at a middle school age, he won't get blocked. Because 9 times out of 10, especially in rec ball, coaches are not equipped to battle that, to combat that.
Yeah, they don't
now,
know that.
Now, okay, now, and even in middle school, but you got some advanced middle school coaches. But for the most part, you're not going to find O-line coaches who can combat a kid, who can learn how to use their hand at an early age. You agree with that one?
I agree, but a lot of that got to do with kids, I think at a certain age, some kids think when they shoot their hands out, they're going to hurt something.
Yeah.
So it got a lot to do with their development of their body and the strength and power and stuff like that, too.
Yeah.
But you got some kids who are just big, naturally strong kids.
Just throwing
they
people
can
out
get
of the way.
it, you know? But I think that has a lot to do with it, too.
So camps, we're going to talk about camps for a little bit. How important, or is important, however, it's important to have kids to visit and to participate in camps?
I think it's important. I think there's a place for it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, camps is how I got noticed. I'm sure it said you were the same way. That's where you go and coaches get to put eyes on you, and you get to show yourself a little bit. And so now here's the thing. I do tell kids this. I'm like, look, before you go to a camp, you have to be
prepared.
Yeah, you got to be prepared to go to a camp. Just going to a camp ain't gonna help you. If you go there and you look boo-boo, it's on to the next thing. So prepared, you got to get you have to get what I call camp ready and showcase ready. And then I'll take it to that next step where if you're a kid that you got to go to 15 camps in the summer to get you. I said first of all that's not necessary, and if you have to do that, you're probably not developed enough to get some. I mean, I'd be honest with you, probably. Every year that I was in high school, I probably went to maybe 2 or 3 football camps. Maybe just 2 or 3 really big ones. And if you go to particularly a big camp like at University of Alabama or Clemson or something like University of Georgia, and you go there and show out, your name, it's gonna travel because that coaching fraternity is really really small. They gonna talk, and so I think it's important, but you have to understand the nuances of it. And the biggest thing goes back to why we're here talking is development. You have to be developed to go to get somebody's attention.
Because I'm telling you, it's crazy though. You know what I'm saying? And I have witnessed it too. How kids go to camps, right? And I'd be like, Coach, I went to so-and-so camp, but how you do? All right, what you running the 40? I ran the 4.7. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Did you prepare for that thing?
Yeah.
Nah, Coach, it don't make sense to me. So I'm saying is, if you're going to a camp, they're going to require you to run a 40. Now I'm talking this as far as like that part of camp. A 40, an L drill, a shuttle. Why not prepare for it? Right? Now if you go into a pass rush camp, you know what I mean? Why not prepare for it? So I think or quarterback, right?
Camp,
prepare for it. Prepare for it because you would not go into a school and take a test.
Yes.
So we're not studying.
Yeah.
You feel me? So so I think, what I'm saying, our job is to make sure we get the message out saying, yo, we here.
Right.
You feel me? You know what I'm saying? If your desire to go that next level, wherever that next level is for you, could be Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, not wherever the next level is for you, we here for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Just go back, like, even when I was in high school, I'm not going to lie. When I got to college, I was introduced to some things that, like, man, I don't think I ever did that before. So I kind of felt behind.
Yeah.
And some kids from different schools might have been working on that stuff.
Right.
Right. So I think it's important just to be, especially if I got a kid, if you got a guy that you know is going to go to the next level, you might want to start introducing yourself to what's going to go on at that next level. Yeah. And get yourself prepared.
And so getting you around people who know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. So,
so it's an old lineman, man, that I trained, man. And he's a Division 1 athlete. He and I were talking. I was like, man, what is something, we just having a casual conversation. I was like, man, what is something that you wish you would have did different in high school? Get what he said. I wish I would develop more of my skills. Yeah. He said because when he got to college, he had to learn how to, as a combat somebody who's using their hands. Yeah. He said, because you don't see that in high school. Yeah. You don't really see D linemen for real, using their hand. Not many. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You might got one defensive lineman who's capable, otherwise you got a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he wasn't used to that, but when he got to college, everybody in their hand. Right, so he was like, he was kind of behind the 8 ball because, so he said he wished he could have did that better. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was like, dang, boy, I salute that because this is what we're trying to change right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Really change that about people.
Yeah.
You about to say something?
Well, I mean, I was just going to just take that, and it was kind of like what we were saying about, when do you start training the kid? What age? I think the younger that someone can get some information, the better. Even if it's like a child that, I typically don't, parents that come to me and say, hey, I want you to start training my child. Well, how old are they? And, if they tell me that, they're, 8, 9 years old, 7 years old, I'm like, all right, well, let me assess them first.
Right.
So let me see where they are.
Yeah.
Now, you got some freaks out there that, man, 7
Right.
years old,
Yeah.
God dang, this kid,
Right. He ready to go,
and
baby.
so, all right, let's go ahead and start training because he can handle it. There's some others where, let's give it a little while. Let's let them develop. Their coordination is not there. And let's get them to that age where their coordination is just starting to set in, which is about around age 11, 12 years old. So, the earlier that you can get a kid and start developing them, use that's what's going to give them that. If I can teach you something that's not really taught until college and you're getting it in high school, or teach you something that's not being taught in middle school and you don't know it, really get until you get in high school, that's going to always give you an edge as a competitor. And I think, that's a key part of it. But the basis of it, which I was going to say to you, is with every kid, I don't care if it's a college age kid, a 9-year-old, we're going to talk about the basics. We're going to set a foundation. Every great athlete has a foundation of the basics of whatever their skill set is, and from there they build off that. It's like building a house. The house is not. It's not going to be a house that's not functioning as a house, or it's not in good shape. Usually, the foundation is where it was bad from the get go. You talk about anybody who knows how to structure a house. So, I believe in that in terms of building the body and also building skill. You got to set the foundation. The foundation is the fundamentals. Teach that, and depending on where that kid is, depends on how far along you accelerate. So
it did frustrate me sometimes. Like, I'm not bashing no coaches and no rec coaches and like that, but a lot of times when you got a kid that's been in the rec program and then he eventually get to junior high, like basic stuff like stance and start. Yeah. Some kids get down like, man, and some of them get down in the bad stances. It's hard for them to fix it.
Right.
Right.
Over the year.
Yeah.
But you know what it is, though, man? I'm gonna tell you though. Again, it's no knock.
Yeah.
For the most part, rec teams are trying to fill spots.
Yeah.
And I get that though. You know what I'm saying? You got dads, you got uncles who helping out.
Right.
Yeah.
I salute it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Been there before. But along with that, you get those bad habits. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because you got people who just trying to fill a spot, have a little fun. But that's why it's important to seek out that extra help, man.
Yeah.
That's where we come in.
Yeah.
Because most people, and this has been going on since the beginning of time, guys. It's hard to get coaches, period, but it's doubly hard to get it on the middle school level down on that youth level, especially getting it. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be in a program where your middle school youth leagues, you got a bunch of coaches that that's huge.
Yeah.
But that's not the case everywhere. You got some dad that just, hey, will you come out and coach? Yeah, sure, doesn't know anything about that particular game, or it's particularly might know something about the game, but don't know things about the nuances and the techniques. And, you have to spend some time in the game to know that. But that's where we come into play. I think you also combat that, and we hadn't talked about this, that, we talked about how the game, how the game sport has evolved with body mechanics and the understanding and the nuances of body mechanics has accelerated the sport along with the schemes of the sport. Well, because of that, what you have at the same time is this evolution of society where kids don't get out as much as they used to.
Yeah.
So I still believe that there's a big I'm a big believer in self-discovery and natural fluidity of movements. Well, we used to get that all the time. We didn't need trainers when we were coming up because we were crap.
Always doing something.
At best you had a Nintendo. Other than that, cartoons off the TV at 11 o'clock. You outside, you playing, you climbing trees, you working on that absolute strength. You out there wrestling, you doing whatever, playing tag. That ain't happening anymore. So now what we used to get for free, what was in the backyard, or in the neighborhood, now, parents are having to pay for.
Yeah.
And that's where the evolution, again, we talked about, parents understanding and communities understanding, especially smaller communities, understanding that, things have changed. It's not how it used to be back in the 80s. It's a new era. It's a new day and age, and you have to adapt to that. If you're not adapting, you're gonna get left behind. Yeah.
It's funny that you said that. I was listening to a doctor or something talk about how back in the day, a lot of kids would ride bikes.
Yeah.
And then they noticed a lot of injuries would come to knee, like injuries and stuff, what you need, because kids don't really do those kind of things anymore.
Yeah,
ride the bike all the time.
Yeah, I don't remember an ACL injury when I was
But you got to think about something, man.
In high school.
You know what I'm saying? Riding bikes, really develop your quads.
Yeah.
You feel me? And anytime a knee injury happens, what's the first thing you lose size of?
Yeah, your quads. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're right about
when
that.
you rehab, what do they put you on?
But
A bike. Yeah.
Man, get y'all a bike, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get y'all a bike for them kids, baby.
Yeah.
But that's true though. Like, and you're right. I have seen, like, even in here, man, we get a lot of, post injury kids who don't have ACL injury. Like, it's been a lot, dog.
I knew one guy, and keep in mind now. Well, actually, no, two guys. In all the years that I was around high school football or high school sports, I think I remember two guys that had ACL injuries in the almost 20 years I lived in LaGrange. I don't ever remember seeing it. I don't remember seeing it.
I don't remember not one.
No, not one. The first AC guy that got an ACL, and it was in college, and it wasn't even like just, it was non-contact. It was an old lineman. Somebody came down, like that's how, but other than that, you just see it. Because, like I said, I think the lifestyle has just changed so much. And because of the lifestyle, we're not working certain parts of the body, and kids aren't getting as coordinated as they used to. Yeah. And so, like I said, you have to adapt, parents, I look at my kids.
Hey, man, but you're right, though, man. Like, you got me tripping now because growing up, it's all we wanted was a bike.
That's all we wanted. Yeah.
Dang, but I'm saying we don't change too. Living situation done changed.
Yeah.
From a standpoint of really, kids ain't got too many places to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Because growth done happen. Cities done got bigger, you know what I mean? Buildings done. So they kind of
more distractions.
You feel me?
We can get and go places more. It's like it's crazy. I gotta tell them, go ride your bike.
Right.
You gotta tell me that.
You jump on the thing,
go. Yeah. So
can y'all still ride a bike? Yeah. We'll let you go on a bike.
Been a little minute.
Last time I rode a bike was me and my family went to Asheville, North Carolina, and got on a bike trail.
Really?
On
a bike. So it's been a minute, boy. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, but they say once you ride a bike, you forever learn how to you forever know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's crazy though. So y'all listen, man. You know what I mean? If you're gonna get off this thing, man. If you had one thing, because I always do all my guests like this, and whoever can go first can go first. Mm-hmm. If you had one thing to leave to the people positive, to all the listeners, to all the viewers, what would it be? Whoever want to dunk it first.
Well, I want to say, especially for the people here in this immediate area, to truly understand what our purpose is and why we're here. Yes, we're a business, and we're going to, conduct our business as professionally as we can. But at the same time, we're here to serve, and we're here to serve the community. There's no hidden agendas.
Right.
We're not here trying to help this school, get this school, and that's, we're here to, because what after leaving LaGrange for so many years, keep in mind, there was a time when LaGrange was, in Troup County coaches from all over the country were coming here. Beating the pavement to get here because they knew they were getting some studs. And, you're talking about not just one or two, but just a plethora of athletes being produced out of this place. And I wanted desperately to get back to where LaGrange, now Callaway, Troup, where it's relevant, where it's the talk of the state.
Right.
And because right now, in my opinion, just going all over the state, it's the North Metro Atlanta, Gwinnett County, Cobb County, South Georgia show. And right now, we're kind of getting beat down right here in the middle of Georgia. Griffin is trying to, ups and leaves.
Yeah.
You remember all those schools that were the, who's who, Noonan, and I would love to get it back to that. So what we got to do is that we got to evolve like they've evolved, and we got to figure out, that because what we're talking about today is what they're doing. And now South Georgia's starting to figure it out because they're looking up there because they're getting, them state championships now.
Yeah.
They're competing and they're going, what are they doing?
Whoa.
And so they're going, well, we need to do what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I'm getting pulled down there and I'm seeing what's happening down there under the surface, behind the scenes. And so I'm trying to get the folks here in this middle part of the state to go, hey,
So I understand that thing.
let's go. Let's get it right. Yeah.
I dig it, man. What about you, Coach?
Like Coach said, man, we're here to serve community, and we're here to make athletes better. Not only that, we also serve as mentors, you guys. You think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Talent can, for all the guys who think they just don't need any extra work, talent can only take you so far.
Yeah.
You got work ethic, discipline, coachable, all this stuff got to come into play. So we're also here to help serve that too, and instill that into athletes and players. So.
I dig that, man. I dig that, man. Yo, I'm gonna tell you though, there's no better feel to go to different games and realize that you have impacted a kid. Like you can go to a Callaway game, you can go to a Troop game, LaGrange game, like that Christian game. Like you can go to all the sport and be like, yo. Like, you know what I mean? So that's, to me, man, that's my love of it. And honestly, like seriously, man, that's why, part of the reason why I stepped out of coaching, because I love to impact more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love to impact more. So, man, appreciate you guys, man, for coming on this show. You know what I mean? Appreciate y'all for getting on here, man, talking that talk with me, man. So, yo, everybody, again, man, thank y'all for tuning in, baby. And y'all know what it is. Zip them up.